Number 3, South Carolina. Love Lenora Sellers, breakout star in the second half of last season as South Carolina won their last 6 in the regular season. Does need to cut down on turnovers, but I think that's going to come with experience. At least I felt like it did when I was playing. 13 last year. He needs to be certainly under 10. They do have a new offensive coordinator this year with Mike Schuler replacing Dal Loggins, who went to App State. On defense, they've got to replace 7 starters, including Kyle Kennard, Nagurski Award winner on the edge. That's going to be difficult. But they have one of the best pass rushers in the country. Dylan Stewart is coming off a freshman All-American season. And so Shane Beamer feels like I would certainly assume like they're going to be quality on defense. They're going to be quality on offense. They've hit the portal to fill some holes. They've got some real stars. And then the issue becomes the schedule. They've got a real good shot at starting 5-0. Toughest game is at Missouri, okay? But then it gets real when the calendar turns to October. Check this out. 4 straight weeks. At LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, at Ole Miss, then a bye week, then at A&M. Hello. They still have Clemson left in the back end of that schedule. The schedule's brutal. I'm just going to say that again. 4 straight weeks of football. At LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, at Ole Miss, then a bye week, then at A&M. Then after that, Coastal Carolina and Clemson. Man, I think they're probably in the same boat as Florida, which means like 9-3, it's going to be difficult to keep them out. Because again, remember now, let's just say hypothetically they're 9-3. That means I'll just look at their most difficult games. Let's say their most difficult games are like at LSU, Bama at home, and I would say Clemson, or you could argue at Ole Miss. Well, if they're 9-3, that means that they would still have a win at Missouri. They would have a win over Oklahoma. They would have a win at Texas A&M, and either over Ole Miss on the road or Clemson at home. So 9-3 for South Carolina looks very good. Very good. Similar to Florida in terms of the difficulty of their schedule and how the committee might view them at the end of the year. So 9-3 could be the bar for South Carolina, and that's why they're at number 3. And number 2 is Ole Miss. Now, they've got to replace a ton of talent. But I trust Lane Kiffin. He's not only great at tweeting, he whines a lot about the playoff, which we know, but guy can coach. Lane's an excellent coach. He's one of the best coaches in America. I think that people love to hate on Lane, but everywhere he's been, he's done an excellent job. He's grown. He's matured. I find him to be hilarious on Twitter. I loved taking a jab at him at the end of last year, which he took in stride. By the way, we've texted and talked. Great dude. Love Lane. They are replacing 18 starters, including 8 draft picks, 5 on defense. How do they replace them? The number 4 transfer class with 30 transfers. Wild. They have to replace Jackson Dart, Austin Simmons. This is also a bet on Kiffin's offense, right? I mean, Kiffin is going to be able to score points. I just believe that. It's a QB-friendly offense. It's a QB-friendly situation. Simmons has been in the system for 2 years, showed what he can do when he came in for a short time during that first half of the win over Georgia, leading them down the field for a touchdown. Okay, so he's got some success in his back pocket. Pete Golding's defense last season was awesome. They were the number 2 scoring defense in the country. They led the nation in sacks, TFLs per game, but that's a lot to replace. Not saying that they can repeat what they did, but I don't think they're going to take a giant step backwards. All right, schedule. Why is Ole Miss higher on the list than South Carolina? Because I like South Carolina's roster better than Ole Miss right now, in particular with the 30 transfers. But I've got Ole Miss higher on this list than South Carolina. Why? It's because of the schedule. The schedule is easier, and they get South Carolina at home. They should be 4-0 when LSU comes to Oxford in late September. They're backloaded in the schedule, which gives Austin Simmons time to mature in that offense, which is quarterback friendly. 5 of his first 6 games are at home. There are only 4 road games in the schedule. 2 are versus Kentucky and Mississippi State, both projected to be, 2 two of the bottom teams in the SEC. Their toughest games, can they go 3-2 in them with 3 being at home? Okay, so let's look at this. Toughest games: home against LSU, at Georgia, at Oklahoma, home against South Carolina, home against Florida. I believe that if they go 3-2 in these 5 games, 3 of which are at home, that they can go to the playoff. So, do I think they can beat Oklahoma? Yes. Do I think they could beat one of the 3, LSU, South Carolina, or Florida? Yes. What's the most likely one? Probably South Carolina, in my estimation. Those are some good quarterbacks you got to play. Those are some really good quarterbacks. At Georgia is just tough, and then you're going to have Nussmeier at LSU, Sellers at South Carolina, Lagway at Florida, and Mateer at Oklahoma. So 3-2 in those 5, and Ole Miss is going to have a great shot to go to the playoff, which leads us to the number 1 team most likely to make a playoff for the first time in their program's history, and that is Illinois. Bret Bielema has built this team into what he wants. Physical, tough. They win against South Carolina in the bowl game. They show the level that they can get to. And that team that won that day is essentially all back. 16 starters are back, 9 on offense, 7 on defense. Luke Altmaier is back for his 3rd season. We've seen what returning production, returning experience does, in particular at the quarterback position. Altmaier being back is huge. The entire offensive line is back in front of him. The question is at wide receiver. They've got to replace their top 2 wide receivers from last year, Pat Bryant and Franklin. They added Huston Clement from West Virginia. He had 11 for 166 and 2 touchdowns in his last game for West Virginia last year in the bowl game against Memphis, so the guy can play. The defense should be solid. 3rd year under Aaron Henry, who was... he was an assistant there when Ryan Walters was the defensive coordinator. I've met in production meetings with Aaron Henry. I think he is a star. I really like him. The entire secondary is back, along with 2 starting linebackers, including their star pass rusher, Gabe Akis. They've hit the portal, replaced guys on the defensive line. They won their close games last year, 5-1 in 1-score games, okay? That was not the case with Nebraska and USC. Illinois was able to win those games. Do those grow? Here's the schedule. They don't have to play Penn State, Oregon, or Michigan, and they get Ohio State at home. So of Big Ten schedules, they've got kind of like the Missouri-esque Big Ten schedule. I think they've hit the lottery in the Big Ten. Their first 2 big games at Indiana and then home against USC. Those are back-to-back weeks in September. So we're going to know a lot about Illinois early. Now, here's what benefits them is that they're so experienced. So they can handle early games, big games. Both USC and Indiana, maybe less so USC, but both are kind of breaking in new quarterbacks. I know Maeva got some time late last year, but new quarterbacks. Meanwhile, Art Myers in his 3rd year as a starter and gets to play in September as an experienced player in those big games. That's gigantic. Even if they don't beat Ohio State, their next biggest game is probably Washington on the road. Not saying that that's easy, but you can take an experienced team and win that game potentially. And even if they don't win that one at 10-2, I think that Illinois probably goes. This year's Indiana is Illinois, a team that their schedule is perfect, their roster is perfect, there is experience in the right places, and there is a guy at the helm, this case Bret Bielema, knows exactly what he's doing. So I like Illinois as my number 1 team to make their very first playoff appearance. They've got the roster, they've got the schedule, all things aligned for Illinois this year, which generally means teams underperform because a lot of people pumping their tires this offseason, including me. And I actually saw Bret at the spring meetings for the Big Ten. And he said the same thing. He was like, hopefully our guys aren't listening to all the publicity. And I was like, yeah, you should institute a phone ban over the summer because the last thing they need is to hear things like what I'm saying. The bottom line, though, is with experience generally comes perspective. That perspective generally comes in the form of knowing that nothing is given to you in college football, and you've got to go earn it. You got to go work hard. You got to get into the process. You're not going to get too high on the highs or low on the lows. So you get some stability and level-headedness, which is what comes with, as much as you can in college football, comes with experience, and they have that. They have that at the key positions. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.